Hello and welcome to another SkaredCast 8th edition video. We continue our initial look at the new 40k edition with 3 more games featuring the Druhkari. The Dark Kin continue their journey of exploration. Let's begin. Hello and welcome to another SkaredCast video. This is a series of short battle reports that showcase me as I am learning how to play the Dark Eldar and the new edition of Warhammer 40,000. So make sure you check the link below for the first video I did on the series. This is the second video, and it's game 3, 4, and 5. We'll be doing a quick little slideshow. I'll be talking about the different units that I tried, things that I've liked and that I haven't. A thank you to all the patrons that support the channel. Consider supporting if you'd like to help out. Okay, so let's dive in. Game 4 and 3 and 5. Okay, so game 3 I played Eldar. So we had a showcasing of Wraithguard and Psykers like Eldar and Guardians and jet bikes. So let's dive right into game number 1 versus the Aeldari of the Craftworlds. Let's dive right in to game 3. So we had the Drazar, Incubi, we had the Void Raven, and a Homunculus, units that I hadn't used yet. And something I'm liking is a unit of Cabalite Warriors, like a 10-man unit with a Lance and Blaster. Finding them very effective as backfield objective holders. Might increase it to 20. I love the Mandrakes. The Incubi, put them in a raider with Drazar, and they essentially just beelined it for the enemy positions. Something that I really liked this game was the Void Raven Bomber Bomb, which rolls a d6 for each model in an enemy unit, and on a 3+ they take a mortal wound. You can roll a maximum of 10 dice this way. So it flew over a bunch of Dire Avengers and blew 8 of them up on 3+. Very nasty, and at the end we just showcased how many mortal wounds we can do with the Dark Eldar. So the Aeldari, the Craftworld Eldar, we can see their versatility. Now, in this game, 1,000 points really didn't get to showcase a lot of the cool things that the new edition shows. There wasn't really any tanks, and the player I played was relatively new to the game itself, not just 8th edition. So in it we saw the Dark Eldar, the Druhkari. I tried out Incubi for the very first time, and Drazar, the Master of Blades, and they just wiped the floor with whatever they touched. But because of the new fallback mechanic, you saw how falling back from a nasty close combat unit, opening it up to just getting shot to pieces, was quite a thing from the actual game itself. But the characters themselves pulled their weight in gold in that game, as well as having small units like the Cabalite Warrior units to take objectives and really put pressure on the opponent. The Mandrakes proved their worth once again, popping up out of nowhere, and the Void Raven Bomber, a great little opportunity to see how devastating that Void Bomb can be, dishing out some nasty mortal wounds. I like the way the flyers work in this edition, and I'm looking forward to digging deeper into the tactical nuances of using your flying models. So let's go in to game 4, which was played against the forces of the Grey Knights. We've got Drago and Paladins. What? A Paladin star in 8th edition? Let's see how the Druhkari do against this foe. Okay, so we begin the game against Grey Knights, and this time I switched things up a bit. I decided to try a Kronos, a Talos, and brought the Witches back. And oh, and I had some Grotesques in there as well. Little unit of 3 of them in a raider. This was a really cool game to showcase just how powerful anti-psyker like the stuff from the Homunculus Coven can be, but also how mobile the Grey Knights can be. You know, turn 1 using Gate of Infinity and dropping down from teleportation arrays. We had an ancient with a banner, and a bunch of paladins and Drago all jump in. My opponent's army failed when only Drago made his charge, essentially stranding the rest of the paladins for my glorious counterattack on the second turn when I really did a lot of damage to the Grey Knights. And we're back after watching the Grey Knight slideshow. Oh my goodness, that was a tight one. This game saw the power of some of the cool little gears, as well as what mortal wounds can really do, bypassing things like invulnerable saves and armor saves. An army of psychers with multiple wounds and a cool piece of war gear on the homunculus called the Crucible of Malediction, a giant psychic bomb that really hurt the Grey Knight army, dealing a lot of damage to each psyker model in the army itself. So let me know what you think. All these buffs stacking together to make the army really nasty, with things like Gate that can move around giant units of Terminators and or other units, especially in a Grey Knight army. So we move on to the last game, which I was unable to take pictures of, but I played against Sean, a good pal of mine from long ago. You've seen his battle reports that him and I have played. He plays Space Wolves and has essentially sat out all of 7th edition. He played a few games, and then it started getting really silly, and he kind of distanced himself from the game. But we return with a game against Sean's Space Wolves at 1,500 points. He took a Thunderwolf Lord and Thunderwolves, essentially something he loves to use. He took Bjorn the Fell-Handed with an Assault Cannon, and he took 2 units of Grey Hunters in Razorbacks, a Stormwolf with 10 Blood Claws. This was such a slobber knocker of a game. We played Hammer and Anvil, and the first turn I had a Raider explode and deal D3 mortal wounds to everything around it. Note to self, if you have a tank like that explode within a radius of almost your entire army before you leave your deployment zone, it's a good idea to burn one of those rerolls, which I didn't do. So I had Wounded Talos, Wounded Kronos, Wounded Homunculus, Wounded Raider, all because of a giant explosion. This time I got to try out the Beast Packs, which was really fun. And I used the Talos and Kronos that I used against the Grey Knights, but in 2 Talos instead of just 1, and the Kronos. And they really proved their worth. I'm really looking forward to some of the war gear options on the Talos, and when I dive into the tactical forces of the Druhkari and I talk about Talos, I'll talk about the importance of things like Ichor injectors. I also brought Uri and Rakarth out to play, and he is a tough little cookie with a re-rollable invulnerable save. So, I did lose the game, but it was a slaughterfest. Bjorn the Fell-Handed, the Dreadnought character, was really snazzy. Being a character, I believe he can't be targeted because even though he's not the closest, because he has less than 10 wounds. And so Sean kept on putting Razorbacks in front to stop my Lancers from targeting him. And the Mandrakes, once again, proving their worth with their mortal wounds. There's a theme here I'm liking for the Druhkari. Mortal wounds seem to be something that we have ready access to. And I'm looking forward to trying them on the Hellions, for example, with a Stun Claw, on the Talos with Ichor injectors, on the Hex Rifle to take out some Psychers or characters. So stay tuned as we dive in to the Druhkari and the Dark Kin. Please leave a comment down below. If there's anything you'd like me to touch on, I will. But this entire edition has me very, very excited about the game. As you can tell, I can just yap, and edit videos. If you'd like to stay up to date in a positive environment while we discuss this edition, please click the subscribe button and the little bell so you get notifications, and share these videos with the world as I really dive in to the Druhkari, the Dark Kin, the Dark Eldar, and as it is my passion to show you guys the little things that I've learnt. A couple of tips and tricks. Number 1, raiders and venoms and things that can fly can charge flyers, the things that are airborne, which are really cool, which brings the shock prow into use. A shock prow does D3 damage instead of just 1 damage when you charge. It's pretty cool. Other than that, leave a comment down below, like, share, subscribe. I am Skari, the Archon, signing off from the dungeon. And if you'd like to help out, check the links, support on Patreon, and stay tuned for the next video as we continue this journey on through the dark city, the shadows, the pain, the damage. The dark kin.